right, we're going to talk more about linear equations. So the first one we're going to talk about is point slope. So point slope form is y minus y sub 1 equals m times the quantity x minus x sub 1. And y sub 1 and x sub 1 are the coordinates of the point on the line. Y and x without the subscripts, those are just generic. They are just the x and y of your line. M is the slope. So here it says, write the equation of the line given this information. So here I have the coordinate -5, 2, and a slope of 3/5. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just use this form. Y minus my y coordinate is 2 equals my slope 3/5. X minus my x coordinate, which is -5. Could I simplify this? Yeah. Y minus 2 equals 3/5 x plus 5. A lot of you will go straight there. Now, what happens when I have two coordinates? Well, the first thing I want to do is I want to find my slope. So I'm going to go 8 minus 2 over 5 minus 3. I get 6 over 2, which is 3. Now, just pick one of the coordinates. I'm going to pick 3, 2. So y minus my y coordinate, which is 2, equals my slope 3 times x minus my x coordinate. There's my equation of the line. Pretty quick. I could use the other coordinate. Y minus 8 equals 3 times x minus 5. Now, these are the same thing. If I were to solve this into y equals mx plus b, I'm going to get the exact same equation. Now, point slope is really, really fast to do. So that's why we want to kind of recognize it. The next one we talk about is standard form. Standard form is ax plus by equals c, where a, b, and c are real numbers, and a and b are not both zeros. So we want x and y on the same side, we want c on the other, and we typically want these to be integers, okay? So write an equation in standard form. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move my 3/4 over. So I'm going to subtract off 3/4 first. And now I have -3/4 x plus y equals -5. Now, I don't like working with the fractions here, so I'm going to get rid of that fraction. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply everything by the denominator. I'm going to multiply everything by 4. And so now I get -3x plus 4y equals -20. There's my standard form. I'm done. Now, if I'm graphing in standard form, what I want to do is I want to find the intercepts. So the intercepts are when I plug a 0 in for x or a 0 in for y. So if I want to find the y-intercept, what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug a 0 in for my x. So I plug a 0 in here and I find out what I get. Okay, so 3 times 0 is 0 plus 5y equals 15. Okay, so a lot of times what I tell my students is when you're finding the intercepts, just cover up the variable, the intercept leave the intercept you're trying to find. So I'm trying to find y, so I have 5y equals 15. Now I'm just going to divide 15 by 5 and I get 3. Now my x-intercept, I'm going to cover up my y, and I have 3x equals 15. 15 divided by 3 is 5. And now I'm just going to plot these 2 points. So I'm going to go in here, I'm going to find my y-intercept, 3, find my x-intercept, 5. And now I'm just going to connect my intercepts. And that will give me my 2 points. It'll give me my graph of my line. The last thing we want to do is we want to talk about parallel and perpendicular lines. So parallel lines are lines that have the same slope and different y-intercepts. So the slopes are equal and the y-intercepts are different. They're not equal. Perpendicular lines have slopes that are negative reciprocals. So what that means is if I were to multiply the 2 slopes together, it would equal -1. Or my first slope is equal to -1 over my second slope. So we're going to talk about how to get that. So now it says write the equation, parallel. So the key, anytime I'm looking at that, is I want to look at that slope. So now I know my slope is equal to 6. Well, I'm going to go back here and use my point slope form. So I have y minus my y-coordinate, which is -3, equals my slope, x minus my x-coordinate. Now, a lot of you understand that minus a -3 is actually going to be a +3. Okay? But they're equivalent. Okay? So they're equivalent expressions. So now perpendicular, which is a little bit harder to understand. So up here, I'm still looking at my slope. So I want to look at that -4. So it says perpendicular to y equals -4x plus 2/3 through the point 8,5. Okay, so I'm going to use point slope form again, but first I have to find my slope. Now, when we're doing slope, what we're going to do is we're going to take our slope, we're going to find the negative reciprocal of it. Okay, if you can't remember, flip it and negate it. So remember, this is, so if I have -4, that's really -4/1. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that slope, I'm going to flip it and negate it. So I have -1/4, which gives me 1/4. There's my slope. That's the slope I want to use. So flip it and negate it when you're doing perpendicular. So y minus my y-coordinate, which is 5, equals my slope, 1/4, x minus my x-coordinate, which is 8. There's the equation of the line. Okay? I'm going to use the point slope form first because it's just faster. Okay? So that's a little bit more about linear equations.